Margaret, I know you've got to leave shortly, so I wanted to get to what you've got to say because you're a pediatrician. These trade agreements are going to be impacting food and a lot of other things. Can you talk to us as a pediatrician how these agreements will be impacting us?
Sure, that's one of the major reasons I got involved in this, that the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the other agreements that are being negotiated will impact our laws directly and prevent us from being able to put laws in place that protect the health and safety of our communities. So food is a big one. They lower kind of the standards for food safety. They allow corporations that are importing food into the U.S. to actually stop our inspectors from inspecting the food if they're taking too long, because that may interfere with their profits. It will prevent things like labeling our foods for GMO, whether they contain GMOs or not. In terms of health, it's going to increase the cost of health care by raising the cost of medications. In terms of our environment, it will allow corporations to challenge any bans that we put in place to protect the environment, like banning fracking from our communities. So this is really something that impacts everything that we care about and our ability to protect ourselves. And so it's something that we hope that people will understand that this is something that affects you directly. It's not just some big trade thing out there. This will affect your household directly.
Can you speak about some of the things that came through with NAFTA? Did you see some changes?
Sure. So, and that's the changes we've now seen over 20 years of having this model of kind of trade agreements, is that every time that we have a trade agreement, it actually increases the trade deficit, and when we increase the trade deficit, that means jobs that are being lost. The Trans-Pacific Partnership and the other treaties in particular really make it possible for corporations to move wherever they can get resources the most cheaply, where the laws are the most lax, where worker protections are lax. And so these treaties are really going to drive a race to the bottom in terms of wages, which will impact our wages here. It's estimated that for 90% of workers, their wages will go down. It's going to worsen worker protection, environmental protection. And if I could comment on the trade tribunal, because you bring up a really important point, is that this creates a trade tribunal, an international body, where the judges are corporate lawyers on leave from their jobs as lawyers for the corporations. And so they can serve a dual role. In one case, they can be a judge. In another case, they can be a lawyer defending a corporation like Monsanto or DuPont. And so they can make rulings in one case that they believe will be beneficial to them when they represent their corporation. So it really should be considered unethical, but there are no ethical standards, shockingly, in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So this is a huge corporate power grab. It's a way for them to get things, laws and things passed that they couldn't get through if we went through a democratic and transparent process. It's really a backdoor power grab for the corporations.
It also gives the corporations rights that they don't have, in that they can sue for perceived future financial loss due to some regulatory law that causes them, like I said, not even an actual loss, but a perceived loss. And we're seeing those lawsuits unfold right now. We see an American gas corporation suing the country of Canada because Canada has laws on their books saying you can't frack on Canadian public land. And unfortunately, an American gas company through NAFTA is suing the country of Canada for perceived losses because their environmental regulation prohibits fracking. So we're seeing those abuses roll out right now. And I understand there's even a lawsuit pending over restrictions around cigarettes in South America. And so we have to be respectful of not only our own laws, but the laws of other countries too. And this will transcend those laws. And unfortunately, I believe we're going to have a race to the bottom of the barrel as far as the health for our children because of the food supply. I can't help but think back to the shocking melamine incident where there was melamine in the children's baby formula. I think it wasn't that long ago we found lead in Chinese toothpaste. These are the kinds of things that I hope we don't see, and that our infrastructure, our laws are built to prohibit and to keep us from. And sadly, I think that this, again, is going to be a race to the bottom of the barrel.